Thank you for joining me. Today we are answering the question, is the unfaithful spouse or partner repairable? You can say it another way. You could say, is the unfaithful spouse or partner healable? And that's what we'll be talking about today. I think it's a valid question that every betrayed partner has to consider. My spouse or partner has had this other relationship or hidden life or multiple relationships or addiction. And at the end of the day, they can start to wonder, are they able to be healed? Or is this just going to be part of my life where they act out? And to be honest with you, some betrayed partners will ask themselves, can I live with this if this doesn't change? Some will consider staying with them even if it doesn't change. And certainly, many will say, if this doesn't change, I'm done. And of course, rightly so. But it is a question that rips through the mind of the betrayed. Is the unfaithful partner actually repairable? I will tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the unfaithful party is absolutely repairable, absolutely healable, unless that unfaithful actually has been diagnosed and actually has narcissistic personality disorder. Now, I'm not talking about the narcissism that we'll call it TikTok narcissism, or we hear a little bit about the story and we label that person a narcissist. I'm not talking about that narcissism. At the end of the day, we all are on the narcissistic spectrum. That's a fact. As you study narcissism, you'll see we all can be narcissistic at times. You can have narcissistic traits. You can have narcissistic tendencies. But if you are a full-blown narcissist with narcissistic personality disorder, you're not even going to want to try and get help. So that person, I'm sorry to say, at that current state in their life is unrepairable, unhealable. Now, should they have an experience, call it spiritual, call it psychological, maybe there's a wake-up call, maybe something happens and they decide, you know what, I really want to get help and I'm willing to do what it takes. Sure, there's hope for that person, but until they have that moment, I got to tell you, as long as they've been diagnosed, as long as there has been something that helps you understand, yeah, they absolutely are a legitimate narcissist, that person, unfortunately, at that current state, I don't believe that there's much hope at all. But my friends, I have to tell you, there's a vast difference between that person and the person that just struggles with narcissistic tendencies and can have some habit patterns and some difficulties inside of them. That's not the person I'm talking about. And to quickly label anybody, male or female, a narcissist because they have some traits or some tendencies is aggressive and can cause trouble for both you and your partner and certainly the relationship. Now, I will also tell you, it is oftentimes that someone is unrepairable or unhealable, not because of infidelity or addiction, even multiple infidelities, or having an addiction that has been in their life for decades does not mean they are unrepairable. It is typically something else that would make them unrepairable. So I hope that that gives you hope, both unfaithful and betrayed, to understand that even in the worst cases of infidelity, there can be healing, there can be repair if both parties are open to it, and certainly if the unfaithful party is willing to do a few things that I'll share with you in just a minute. If they're willing to do these things, if they're all in, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they can be repaired, they can be healed. Number one, the unfaithful is repairable if they're willing to face and confront themselves. We unfaithful don't like to do that. We'll fixate on everybody else. We'll blame everybody else. We will make it everybody else's fault that we have cheated or done what we've done, rather than face who we are, rather than face who we've become, rather than admit that we have actually done the unthinkable, the unspeakable, the worst sin ever. We would rather make it somebody else's fault than admit we have absolutely brought destruction into our own life. If we're going to face ourselves, we have to look at our own inner trauma. Maybe it's developmental trauma. Who knows what it is? But until we're willing to open that stuff and look at it and confront it and heal it, we are forever going to be on the outside looking in, unable to truly repair at the level that our spouse or partner or even our own self needs. We can feel like, no, I'm not going there. Listen, I don't need to go there. I can go all these different places. I assure you, unfaithful, you're going to need to go there. Because there, whatever that dark place is not just darkness, is not just shame, but is probably the greatest breakthrough of healing and forgiveness, self-love, and self-acceptance you've probably ever felt. Number 2, the unfaithful is repairable when they're willing to take direction. And oh my, let me just say, until we're willing to take direction, we're not safe and we're not going to heal. Because we want to push everybody away, we want to tell everybody what's wrong with them, and we want to be critical and undermine every source of authority rather than just accept direction from an expert that can help us find freedom, that can help us find healing, that can help us find peace, that can help us actually maybe even get through to our betrayed. But we stay locked in pride and arrogance and our own ego and think that we have all the answers and that we have everything that we need, and then we wonder why the major relationships in our life continue to erode. But we keep making it everybody else's fault, and as long as it's everybody else's fault, we're not healable, we're not repairable, and it's on us. Number 3 is follow through. We can be told so many things as unfaithful. We can accept so much information as unfaithful. But if we don't follow through with it, there's not going to be much healing at all. If we can't follow through with the information we've received from experts or our significant other, if we can't take this information and actually do things with it, actually follow through with the requests of the betrayed, from therapy to communication to reliability to trustworthiness to intimacy to doing what they have asked of us, if we can't follow through with that, I'm sorry, we will not be perceived as repairable. We will not be perceived as safe. Next is consistency. You know, it's one thing to do something and be like, see, betrayed, see, I did it. Hey, great. Should we clap for doing what you were supposed to have been doing all this time? Or maybe what the betrayed is looking for is not to nag you or complain or constantly dog you, but what they want is consistency. And all the things I've already mentioned, not perfection, because the goal is progress, not perfection, but are you consistent? Can you be consistent in the things that you are being asked to do? As unfaithful, we can be extremely childlike. I did this one thing that you asked me to do. Nothing else matters. I did it. And we kind of feel like, yeah, I had a difficult conversation, or I didn't lose my poise, or I did a chapter in the free boot camp at affairrecovery.com. Or, okay, I signed up for a course. Yay! Can you be consistent in doing these things? Because until you can, you're always going to be looked at with a sense of, I'm not sure. Whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, this is an opportunity. Maybe it's a clarion call. Maybe it's an alarm. Maybe it's a moment for you to go, okay, I've got to work on repairing and healing me.